Namaste, I am Prabha Krishna,
Namaste.
and I have with me here Mr. Raghuramji here with me, and I'm going to be asking a few questions about Patanjali Yoga Sutra book, which we will be launching on February 11, which is Yoga Bharati's 10th anniversary celebrations. So we're all very much eagerly looking forward to have the book in hand, to read it and to understand it, and also to hear the words of Raghuramji in our ears, to beautifully understand the sutras. So Raghuramji, I would like to ask a few questions to you. So yoga is popular all over the world. So what is the basic text for this yoga culture?
Any activity has a philosophy behind it. The same way that when we are doing a practice called as yoga, it has to have a philosophy behind it. And this philosophy has come from since the time immemorial, that means ever since the mankind was there. And whatever that practice of yoga that has been there, ideas that were there, has been put in the form of a text. It is like the way that they say that in the form of aphorisms or in the form of laws, that is presented in the form of Yoga Sutras and written by a sage by name Patanjali, so popularly known as Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So therefore, it is necessary that we need to understand the science behind the practice called as yoga. Now, various practices of yoga, they are there in the world today. If you go into the market, that there are so many practices that are there. Not only the practice of yoga asanas, but also meditation practices and things like that. There are several things that are there. For an onlooker, it looks like that they're all different. And what is the connection between these things and all that? There's a lot of confusion about that. So therefore, my always appeal has been to see that we understand that these are all the different pieces taken from one simple practice called as yoga, and that yoga background of that particular philosophy is what is given in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Another very important aspect was say that it is the way of life of man. So naturally, that when we say yoga is a way of life of man, unfortunately or for some reason it has come in the Sanatana Dharma, but I would say that it does not confine itself to Sanatana Dharma. It belongs to the mankind across the globe. Because when you read this Yoga Sutras, you see that what applies to a Hindu, Indian, born in India,
Yes.
same thing can apply to somebody anywhere in the world. So therefore, our idea is to present this book in such a way that it is universally applicable, acceptable. So that's the reason why this Patanjali Yoga Sutra text has come up in the form of. There are many yoga texts that are Patanjali Yoga Sutra translations are there, commentaries are there all over the world.
Yes.
But what my point has been is to see that if I have to apply this Yoga Sutra across the globe, everybody should be able to accept. 2-3 important points that I need to see. It must be in a simple English language.
Right.
Second thing is it should be connected with the day-to-day lifestyle that we are doing, and remove all the mysticism that's involved in trying to explain these things so that it still may be coherent. But at the same time, we would also like to see that the great yogis who have given this for 10,000 years or more in this particular culture, we do not disrespect them in the way that we present.
Okay.
They're all wonderful, they're all extraordinary, and they have given whatever that contemporary time that was there and they have given. So today, I thought that it is the way that we present this Yoga Sutras. So that's how this Yoga Sutra Patanjali has been very important for us.
So you have mentioned a very valid point for today's generation and today's present generation. What challenges and what thought process and belief systems are going on. You have explained the sutras in such a way so that it is easily understandable and practical.
Right.
How is it going? How by reading the book will all the practitioners of yoga, how are they going to be benefiting more?
You see, very simple idea is when we say that it's science. Science does not take any sides. There is nothing like good and bad in the science. There is nothing like emotionally connected with that. So when we talk about Patanjali has given us the yoga science of yoga, we need to present it in such a way that it is applicable to anybody and everybody. Because like the way science laws are applicable everywhere. Like for example, if I say that Patanjali Yoga Sutras, he says that on one side there is a world, on the other side is you, and you're interacting with the world. And that interaction is something which you need to do it,
Yes.
and that interaction he calls it as vritti. So therefore, in my view, that he did not actually deny the vrittis. If you deny the vrittis, then your interacting with the world has to be denied. And then I will not be including the people who are in this world. Doing in this world excellent in such a way that I do not want to deny them. So vritti is not negative. It's like the way a pendulum which moves on one side can also move on the other side. So on one side, we come to the world outside for interaction, that's what is vritti. And once you finish the vritti, you go back to yourself. This is the way Patanjali put it. So when mind which has capacity to go to the world is the only thing which has a capacity to get back from the world. A pendulum which goes on one side can only come back to the other side. A mirror which can reflect an object can only come out of that reflection when the object moves away from that. So this is how, when we look at it, then the whole panorama of yoga changes. So therefore, that essentially that we are doing these things because we have a capacity to get back to our sense, our nature. And what is the advantage of that is that we carry so many responsibilities in the world outside. And that responsibility you call it as vritti. So that means to say we handle several vrittis in the world outside. Like for example, a vritti that I am a father, a vritti that I am an employer, and a vritti that I do in the form of like my relations, that is there, relationship is there. So several vrittis I handle.
Okay.
So therefore, if I need to handle those vrittis, every time that I finish one vritti, I should be able to get back to myself so that I can go into the next vritti and come back and do the next vritti. Very simple idea. So if somebody has to be very efficient as an engineer, he should be 100% engineer. If he is a doctor, he should be 100% doctor. On one side is a father and the other side is a doctor. May not work out many times.
Okay.
Similarly, on one side his mind is continuously occupied as something like a teacher. On the other side that he comes as a husband in the house, then it does not work all right. So therefore, a simple facility that we require is that when I switch off from a work, I'm 100% away from that.
Okay.
Very often what happens is that we are involved in a work physically,
Yes.
and then physically we come back from that work,
Yes.
but mind is still there in the work.
Right.
It's caught up in the work. I cannot do justice here, I cannot do justice there.
We hear that from many people nowadays.
Right. And actually we are torn between these two minds within us.
Right.
It's not just only two minds, but if we are third mind, fourth mind.
Okay.
So this is how we are a cluster of minds that are there within us. If we know how to get back, then we can avoid this particular cluster. This is the most important use of this particular idea of yoga to the today's world.
So in this book, you are along with the sutras, all these explanations are in detail in the different chapters. Is that so?
Actually, I don't have to do anything because Patanjali is such a great scientist. In fact, somebody said that Patanjali is more scientific than the science itself. In such a clear terms, he presents these ideas in such a logical way. So I just carried whatever Patanjali has given in a logical way so that the explanations become self-revealing.
Okay.
Another thing is that when Patanjali quotes something that it has got such a great depth in that, say for example in the 5th sutra he said something, it has such a great depth that in the 2nd chapter somewhere else that when he is drawing, you can see the parallel how he uses that, all these things there. So it looks like this split that he has given in the form of various detailed explanation is useful in various other places. This is one thing. Second thing is the highest marks we should give to Patanjali because basically Outside world you can always divide them and understand and all that, you can do it. Inside whatever that's going on, to be able to put them into various categories and in order and then trying to analyze them, it's just not possible if Patanjali were not to be there. Like for example, thinking is going on in the mind.
Yeah.
And that's what he calls it a vritti. And this vritti can be, he says, pramana viparya vikalpa nidra smriti. He gives that way. It looks like that he just gave some statement. No, actually when you look at it, it's a graded way that he takes us inside. So therefore that beautiful way, it also gives an idea how the consciousness became matter.
Okay.
Graded way. And that's what our philosophy always says, that tasmat atmana akasha, akasha vayu, vayu ragni, agni rapa, up and prithvi. It looks like that grossification is the way that the creation has taken place. And then reverting this grossification is the way yoga takes us deep inside. That's what Patanjali has given us.
So you would recommend it to even actually looks like for psychology students and or people who are even wanting to explore teaching and of the mind, like you said,
Right.
so many concepts of the mind and to understand self. Looks is that so?
In fact, one thing is about the directly into the psychology aspect of it.
Yeah.
But another way that I said it is way that whether it is any profession that you have taken up, everywhere that's useful. Because you see,
Right.
if you are doing surgery, if you are medicine, if you are doing business, if you are doing taking care of the child's growth,
Right.
in all these cases that when you see that application of yoga is so useful. So therefore that this particular Patanjali Yoga Sutra text is the one which connects your practices of yoga with all those things that are there. This is very, very unique text in that sense. Another thing is that the way that Patanjali has given the explanations about yoga, now any practice of any yoga people have taken up. Because today in the market that there are Kriya Yoga, Raj Yoga, this yoga, that yoga, all kinds of yoga that is
Yes,
there.
yes.
Now there are two things that are there. One is that you are the litmus. That means to say whether that yoga or the guru or the whatever teaching that is there, is it the true thing or am I being misguided? If you would like to look at it, Patanjali gives us a clear picture that this is the way that you need to proceed. You don't have to be misguided by these techniques and tricks that are there. Because today in the market, because
Yes.
yoga has become so popular, there are so many people who are giving everything in the name of yoga. I came across what is called as bead yoga, this yoga,
Goat
that
yoga, cat yoga, yes.
My
yes,
God.
Yes.
That means just simple, because that there is something that resembles a small aspect of it in the form of yoga. People call it as yoga. It's unfortunate.
So this is going to be a beautiful guide for
yes,
all.
guide for all that. Everybody can easily see whatever that they are following it. Is it within the framework that is given by Patanjali? You know, Patanjali is given the framework, but it is necessary for us to adapt it to the present day circumstances, put it in a simple language.
Right.
I thought that that is the attempt that is made in this particular textbook.
I think that I would agree it a lot, because when we as yoga practitioners, when we read a book on Patanjali Sutras and see very complicated
Right.
words and things, sometimes it goes beyond the head. And here you have really explained the concepts very, very in a
Right.
understandable manner, which anyone here who are even new to yoga and who are
Yes.
exploring this path,
Can-
that say I'm going to start this path of yoga as my life
Right.
path, itself can read the book. Looks like.
And in this whole text that Patanjali Yoga Sutras have written, I have respected all the great yogis who have presented anecdotes from the day-to-day life, so that it is connected always with the day-to-day life. That kind of a journey we made in this particular book to see that how we can really get the benefit of the practice of yoga, whichever yoga that we have taken up.
Thank you so much, Raghuramji, and I hope all of you, by hearing the session today, this insights from Raghuramji are very, very curious to get the book in hand to read these concepts. And of course, Raghuramji is there to answer any questions, any doubts you have. You can always email to him to get these doubts clarified further and further once you have the book in hand. So thank you very much for watching this show.
Thank you.